Rohan, and in today's video session we will start with collections in Scala. In today's video session especially we will discuss how to create list, what kind of operations we can perform over a list, and how list is different from array. In subsequent lecture or maybe in next lecture I'll cover these topics. Okay, these collections, set collections, map, tuple, options and iterator. So in today's video session we will only focus on list because it is a really very important and vast topic in Scala. As we have already discussed that array is array stores data in a sequential form which we can access through index. In list in Scala, the format of storing data is different. It is similar to the linked list we have seen in data structure. It is like you have first node, this is the head node. It would hold the address of the next node. Okay, this is the internal work, holding the address of the next node. We don't need to focus on that, but nodes are connected into a linked list fashion, right, like this. So it means the list are different from array because now you are not supposed to access list into, like, this is the first node, this is the second node, this is third node, this is fourth node, and fourth node is connected with somehow nil value. So you are not supposed to access the list like this. You pass index as 2 and it will return you this element. It is not so. List is different. So list is based on the linked list. So you have a head node over here. Okay, then you have a tail node over here. Tail node is little different in a Scala. Generally in data structure this is the tail node and this is the head node, but in a Scala the head node is the very first node. This one is the head node, and the tail node is all the node except head node. So the tail would start from this location. So from this location the tail would start. So if you access head element of the list, let's say the list name is list dot head, it would return you this very first element. Let's say 1 is stored, 2 is stored at this. So this would return you 1. So, and if you apply tail, it will not return you this 4. It will return you 2 is related to 3 and then 4. It means it will return you the entire list except your first node. Okay, so there are some few characteristics related to this list as well. So far we have understood it theoretically, but let's move on to the code related to the list and what kind of operations we can perform over list, how we can concatenate to a list, how we can create multi-dimensional list, and so many other operations we can apply over a list. Let's look into this. Okay, let's start with creating an empty list. So in order to create empty list, it is very simple. Create a variable of var type or val type, right? Then you have to use list as we have used earlier array. In case of array you have to use list in case of list. Then you can pass nothing. It means you have not decided what kind of list you want to create, but definitely you want to create a list which is not populated yet. So it means this is how you would create an empty list which would not contain any kind of element as of now, which you can populate later on. How to declare a list with element? It is also again very simple. Again, create a variable. Okay, fruit1 is a list variable type. List of string, this list is actually a list of string. It means the element of this list would be string type. How to create a list? Again, the list and then you pass the element in the list. It is similar to array. Instead of list we can use array in case of array, and then we can pass the list of array element. Here we are creating a list, so pass list and then list. Then you can pass the element of the list like this as a parameter into the list. Instead of string we can create any data type list. Here we have created an integer data type list like this. So this is first way. The second way is by creating by using the structure we have used over here. So here let's say we have an apples, then we have oranges, then we have let's say pears, and then this is connected to nil. This is what we have discussed over here. How to create a list. You you can create a first node in the list like this. Then by using double colon operators or scope resolution operator, you can define the further list. So you have to focus on the last element over here. So the last element is peers, which is connected to nil. Okay, as you can see over here. So this would come into one bracket. Okay, and then after that we have to use this double colon operator. Again this whole thing would come into bracket. Then again we have to use this double colon operator like this we have seen over here. So apples, with apples we have to use double colon operator, and we apply this double colon operator with the rest of the list. As you can see, it is actually coming from last to first node. If you can understand this concept, you would understand, okay, we have to use bracket with adjacent to two nodes of the list. Let's say these are the two nodes of the list. That's why we have created. Now this is one node, this is the second node. The entire node would become one node, although within this node there it is further divided into the further list. Okay, but individual element and the next element would always come as the pair of the list, pair element of the list, so that we have to use this simple function bracket. So this is another way to create and populate a list. How to print a list? Simply put the list into println, but this with this approach the answer would come with list identifier. I'll tell you what is list identifier, but if you don't want to use list identifier, you can simply iterate over the elements of the list we have created. It will iterate over each element. So this will not this list will be containing the element of individual element of the your list, but it will not contain the list identifier. I'll tell you what is the list identifier once I'll execute this code. Let's find out how to find the head. I already mentioned that how to find the head. Tail is different thing. Tail is not the last element. Tail is except head. The entire list with identifier would come as a fruit2.tail. How to check whether the list is empty or not? Simply call this is empty functionality over the list. It will return you true and false. It means this is empty always returns you true and false. Okay. How to create how to add to list? So it would provide you two ways. The very first way is you use triple time colon operator, or you use concat operator by to add to list into another list. So that is what we have created. Fruit 4 and fruit 5 are separate list, which is the result of the addition of two list. So by using simply three colon operators or by concat, and then you pass as a parameter the list as a parameter, it would give you the result comprising all the elements in the both the lists. How to reverse the list? This is again very simple. As you have called this fruit2 dot is empty, then you in order to find out the reverse of a list, you can call fruit dot reverse. But the very good thing about this functionality is we are not restoring the fruit. Okay, we are simply applying this reverse over this fruit. It means even after you apply the fruit dot reverse, the element in the fruit, okay, would be similar to this. Okay, for this you are printing, the output would become pears, oranges and apples. But again, if you print fruit, it will come like this: apples, then oranges and pears. Because you are not restoring it, you are simply printing it. So by calling reverse functionality over a list, you can simply reverse a string, reverse a list. How to create a uniform list? Uniform list is nothing but having elements like this. You have integer over here 1, then you have 1, then you have 1, and then it is connected to nil. It means all the elements in the list are same, and having list of 3 elements we can define like this. So how to create uniform list like this means you have three integer elements and all elements are same as one. So how to create it? Uh, Here you can use list library, then you have to call fill, and then this is you have to provide the size as of now. As here we have created three elements, so we have to provide the size as 3. Then you can provide that uniform element will be filled into those nodes. So here we have apples, but in our case it is 1, so you can, instead of apples, you can pass 1. This list would be of apple 3 times. I'll Once I'll execute, I'll show you the outputs. The output of this would be list of apples 3 times. The same element would be there 3 times. In case of you don't want to use apples, you can use 2. So it means 10 times 2 would be there. It means the node would have 10 elements of when each and every element is 2, so it would go till the 10th element, okay, in the list. So this is how you can create a uniform list, means having the similar element at each and every node. The how to create a tabulate function. Tabulate function is nothing but when you want to apply a certain functionalities on each and every element of the list while creating a list. So what it means, let's say you have element 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but you don't want to store elements like this. Instead of that, you want to store the square of these numbers like this. So in order to do that, you have to apply a for loop, and then you would find out the square of that number and then restore it into the list, which is little tedious job to do. But during the declaration even you can do this job by applying a certain function like this function n cross n over each element. Let's say we have 6 elements over a list, or that what we have created over here. As you can see over here, we used list library and then called tabulate 6 element. We have 6 element in the list like this, 6 element, and over each and every element we have to apply this function n cross n. Okay, so it means this list will be the square of numbers. Okay, it will automatically generate the square of a number, right? So the list would contain these element, not this element, because this n cross n will be applied on each element of the list. Make sure not to forget this. Instead of, sometimes student use this, so which is not correct. You have to use equal operator. Along with that, you have to use greater operator or the angle operator. How to create two-dimensional list? It is again very simple. You have to create list inside list. So if you want to create two-dimensional list, so you have to create list inside list. So list you have to use, and then you define another list, the combination of another list inside that list. And to print this list by using for loop, it is very simple. Use element 1, and for each element you are performing this operation. So then this operation will be performed on this list as well. Again, we are applying on each element, we are applying for each. It means for 20 and 30, this println would be applied. So this println would be applied on this first of all. For the second element, it means the list 40, 50. This again, this println will be applied. It means list is nothing, the 2D list is nothing but the combination of two lists into another list. Okay, if you want to create three-dimensional 2D list, not three-dimensional, having 3 row in a 2D list, where you have 3 column and 3 rows. How we can create it? Simply use an outer list, pass 3 lists, okay, having different 3 elements. So in order to create a 2D array, 2D list, it is again 2D list, not 3-dimensional list, because we are simply passing 3 lists, list 1, list 2, list 3, having only 3 element. It means it would be a matrix like 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2. right? So this is how you can create 2D list. In this video session we have learned uh, how to create an empty list, how to create how to declare list in two ways, how to print list. We have learned two ways to do that, how to find out the head and tail or check whether the list is empty or not, how to concatenate to list using triple colon operators or concat function. Then we have used how to reverse a list and how to retain the sequence same as it was before, how to create a uniform list by simply calling fill in list, and it will create a uniform list having the same element n number of times. If you have passed three element would be there of and each element would be apple. Tabulate is nothing but you want to perform some particular operation of each and individual list element before having them. So this will create an the list of element while it would perform this operation on each and individual element from 0 to 5. Okay, 0 to n minus 1. How to create two-dimensional list we have learned over here. Let's run this code without any further ado, so we can relate the output with the code we have created. So as you can see, the print operation is performed over here. So we are printing fruit 2. Fruit 2 is nothing but apple, oranges and pears. Okay, so this is the output. I told you that if you go with this approach, simply printing the list like this, the list identifier would come with the output. If you don't want to go with this approach, okay, the list 2, as you can see here, the fruit list is coming without any list identifier. It is coming only with the element of your uh, uh, list. Here we have found the head of the fruit, it is apple. The tail is nothing but rest of the elements in the list except the head node. Check if the fruit is empty or not. It is false because it has some fruits. How to concatenate? It is simple. It is concatenating two lists into fruit 4 and fruit 5. This is what we have. Either go you go with the triple colon operators or concat function. The output would be same. Again we have performed the reverse function over here. So after reversing, the elements are pears, oranges and apples instead of apples, oranges and pears. Having the uniform list, let's come to the uniform list. Having 3 apples, having 2 number 10 times, that is what we have created over here. And now we have a square of numbers. It means we are applying tabulate function over a list, okay, and having those element into square form. Okay, so that is why the numbers start from 0 to 6 minus 1 is 5, so the 5 square would be 25. So this list would contain the square of elements. This is how you would have two dimensional list. So this is the output of the list. Simply while having 3 element in each row, as you can see 0 0 1 1 2 2, you can go with that. So this is all about list, the operations we can perform over a list, and I hope the concept of list is clear to you. Okay, nothing is left to cover in list collection. In our next video session, we will discuss sets, map, tuple, options and iterators, and probably I'll cover all these topics in just one lecture. Okay, if the lecture would be large, then I'll divide the lecture into 2-3 parts. Okay, so this is all for today's video session. This is collection in Scala part 1. The part 2 would come soon. Okay, so this is all for today's lecture, and thank you so much and have a good day.